To another Backstage Stories presented by Broadway Grand Rapids. My name is Joe Carroll. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited today to talk to my good friend and Grand Rapids theatrical royalty, Mikey Winslow. Mikey grew up in East Grand Rapids, graduated from Western Michigan University with a BFA in musical theater performance, and he made his Broadway debut in the revival of West Side Story, which throughout all of high school I sort of just referred to as the Mikey Winslow musical, because there's not a more perfect show in the world for this man to have been in, and he's done it all over the place as well. His other Broadway credits include American Idiot, The Green Day Show, On the Town, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. He was in the Dirty Dancing movie. He's done, like I said, West Side all over the country, most notably at Paper Mill Playhouse, where he got to play Riff. He's toured the country with a very small, low-budget musical called Wicked. He also he was touring the country with another even smaller, even less successful musical called Hamilton. He is a multi-instrumentalist, he's a choreographer, he's a teacher, and he's currently getting his master's in educational and instructional design right now, but he's probably best known in Grand Rapids as Judy Soplin's son. Please welcome Mikey Winslow. Please turn on your camera. Say hello to the nice people.
Hi, everybody. I am Judy Soplin's son, also known as Dr. Winslow's son. Hey, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, I'm sure my mom is I'm sure, I hope she's out there. She's like, when we do the Q&A, get your questions ready for Q&A. That's the time for Judy Soplin and Sandy Carroll to thrive. How are you, buddy?
I'm well, man. It's so good to see you. I'm so glad we're doing this. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm all right. Thank you so much for joining me, for doing this. We have a special treat for the people at the end. Like we always try to do a little live performance, something or other. And so we have a little thing that Mikey and I cooked up that'll be at the end. Again, you get to see the two of us working together virtually and my horrific editing skills. But I think it turned out pretty good. We'll see what happens.
I can't wait to see it.
It's going to be great. Do you remember when we met?
Was it when you were doing Beauty and the Beast at East Grand Rapids?
It was either Beauty and the Beast or it was Hello Dolly. And my freshman year of high school, which would have been your sister Sarah's junior year, and you may know this timeline better. You had blue hair at the time.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if
that would have been Hello Dolly then, I think, totally, because I would have been at Hope College totally running into the ground.
Right, dyeing your hair blue. So I think I'm going to get this over with, this part, because I think I've told you this, but I'm going to say it in front of all of these people. Like what you mean to me as a dancer and as a human being, but as an artist, as an actor, as a dancer coming from West Michigan, you were the person who showed me that dancing could be cool. You were the person who showed me that guys can dance, that that's something that we can do. I was never good at it, but you always treated me like, when you were a teacher of mine, a mentor, you're one of these guys who truly like gave me the strength and the ability to pursue this nonsense. And I would not be here. I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't for you. You paved the way in this way. I've always been so enamored with your ability to just forge your own path. You're like, hey, if I think this is cool, I'm gonna do it. And whether that's wearing tap shoes or ballet flats or riding a skateboard, I love you, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you.
Joe, I love you too, man. Thank you so much. Those words are so warmly received. I really appreciate that because I look up to you. I've always looked up to you as a performer. I mean, I remember coming back and hearing that there was this freshman who was starring in the musicals at East and all this stuff. And I was like, what? Who's the kid? What is he? And here you are. And it is such a wonderful gift to have friendships like ours, relationships that we get to progress through time and be in the same industry, but have the same roots, understand each other, and be able to reflect on our own experience through seeing each other thrive and like seeing the projects that you've worked on. I remember when you booked Romeo and Juliet, and I just thought like, what, how, that's so, I would never even consider that as like a career trajectory for myself, but like it made perfect sense for you. And I was like, it's just so nice to have the like comparative, not comparative. I don't like comparing because it's not comparative. It's referential and respecting like parallel paths.
Absolutely.
So thank you for your words. I totally hear you. And I will say, I'm so glad you brought up the idea of like making dance cool and making it accessible but I don't want to like totally just grab the conversation off the bat, but
that's the point. That's literally what we're doing here.
It's like, I have this theory about dance, and it's basically that dance has become this trained art form that only dancers can do, right? And that's cool. And it's great for all those people who have that facility, who are born with that facility, who want to pursue that. Like, that's really great. But dancing is something that we've done as humans for all time to express emotions. And like, I think that at the heart of what makes dancing so special on stage is when it actually clicks into that authentic factor. And like, I mean, we'll get more, I'm sure we're going to talk about the hip surgery, but like, I was not born with the facility. So it's never been about like, do it right, do it technical. It's been like, what is the authentic nature of this art form, of this like expression of this human attribute? And how can we understand that you and everybody else watching is totally capable of having that come out, and it doesn't have to look a certain way. It's like about that belief. People say, it's like people talk about wearing hats. You got to like be a hat person to wear a hat, or, I'm not a hat person. Like, all it takes is like confidence that the hat looks right on your head. A year ago, I was like, I would never wear a hat like this. And now I'm going to watch this later and be like, why am I wearing a hat like that? I should have just not had a hat. But it's all about this like confidence and belief in self, right? Which I think is sort of translatable to anything we do. That like that belief factor.
Totally. I couldn't agree more. And I remember in class, because I took a lot of class from you, and I tried to learn from you as much as I could as a dancer, coming up in East Grand Rapids and dancing at Carroll Ballet and all of the stuff that we'll talk about more. But you always used to say that you always led with you're like, I got bad feet. I got a bum hip. I have like you would lead with this like, almost the things that make you, unique, as opposed to like, hey, I have this baggage and I'm still going to, just because I can't point my foot like this doesn't mean I can't become a better better a leaper, a turner, whatever. It was all of these things. It was so accessible. And I appreciate that from you. One of the things I remember learning, from you was like right from the sort of the mouth of the horse. That's not the right thing, but like you teaching me the cool choreography. Do you remember when you came and you did that masterclass at Care?
I remember that very well. Yeah. I remember being back in that space and getting to do those steps. Returning to Care, that studio has always been a very special experience, especially when whether I'm teaching my own choreography or sharing what I'm working on, or like, that is always special. But I do recall bringing that choreography home and being able to teach it to you. And like, cause as you said, like that is like the essence of that show is, well, no, I don't want to say that, cause it's about like hate and love and all the different things. But like dance
Yeah.
wise,
Dance
stylistically,
wise.
there's
Yeah.
a certain very true match for me there. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do.
Where were you when you got the call that you were going to make your Broadway debut in West Side Story?
Good question. I was in the room. So it was my callback, and it was at this Stepping Out Studio. It was in like 27th Street down in Chelsea. And I walk in, and it's the table, and Arthur Lawrence is sitting there, and there's like a reader, and then there's a piano player and the casting director. And I did my audition. I did my little like soft shoe song, and I read these scenes. And then Arthur Lawrence was like 93 at the time. He's like, "You're in."
No.
That was it.
You're like,
And
I'm in.
I said, "What?"
I
And the
gotta.
casting director was like, "Come on with me," and like scooped me out of the room. I don't remember. I think my like knees were giving out, you know. And the door closed, and I looked at him. I was like, "What did he say?" And he's like, "You're in. You got it." And I thought I had been auditioning for a swing position. And I kind of was. There was like 2 weeks of swing contract, but he's like, "No, you're gonna be big deal."
Oh yeah, look, yeah, like there's the hat. Like it's like talk about a show you're made for. It's still like you're just wearing it.
I
Like
literally found this hat the other day in my parents' closet. So I was like, "I'll bring it out because it's cold here."
yeah,
But
unbelievable,
yeah,
unbelievable.
so
Well,
that was that amazing moment.
gosh, that's. I mean, I love that. That's like a real. That's a true Broadway moment. Like, you're in,
Mhm.
in the studio. You get this thing, as opposed to like, I've gotten that call and I've been walking through the airport. I've gotten that call and it's, oh, like, hey, where are you? And it's like, no, Arthur Lawrence just, one of the decisions he made at the very end of his life was like, no, I'm gonna put Mikey in a show.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's so freaking cool. Now, I mean, we're gonna get to a million topics tonight, but what have you been doing to stay sane during the pandemic? I mentioned this in the intro, but you're getting your master's degree.
Yeah, I'm getting my master's in educational and instructional design, as you mentioned. So that's been a big part of my time expenditure for sure. I so I was in LA when the pandemic hit. I had just arrived there with the Hamilton LA company, and it was like preview one, the day that we got shut down. And so I stuck around in LA for a couple months and experienced the like ghost town of that, which was
Wow.
wild. I didn't have a car, so I just bicycled all over the place, and there wasn't any traffic. So it was a really interesting experience because like so much of LA also happens like indoors and at night and like within the scene, and none
Right.
of that was available to me, nor did I know where it was, but all of the exterior, like, and that's such a great place to explore. So that was nice, to be warm, you know. And then I
Yeah.
ended up coming back home in August. I made it home after like 2 months of camping, which was insane and amazing. But I realized that I had like a couple goals. I wanted to get involved in the campaign, the election campaign, because I am a resident here and voting here. And
Yeah.
I wanted to enroll in grad school because I just saw this like opportunity to elevate Act Two, which has been a huge consideration for me ever since I was like moving toward, well, always, but really towards the hip replacement. Was like, what happens if and when I don't get back in the room? And then to speak to the larger fear, it's like, what happens on the day that I'm truly on the other side of the door and I can't get back in? And I would much prefer to be in a content place walking away from the door than like kicking and screaming, trying to be like, let me back in.
Yeah.
So, and I just turned 35. So dancer legs, they're still kicking, but I'm getting up there. My friend, one of my good dancer friends, she used to say, once you turn 35 as a dancer, you're a dinosaur.
God.
And it's been stuck in my head ever since. I don't identify with it, but I've
Yeah.
always known like I want to have this other something. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and a big piece of that has been wanting to teach in at a college level, wanting to be like the dance professor of a musical theater program or something like that. And to do that, I got to have a master's. And so a couple other events brought me to looking back at Western's programs and realizing that this like educational and instructional design program was actually really kind of what I was looking for. It's all about figuring out how to educate people, whether that's in the academic world or whether that's in like professional world with professional development, training new employees or new protocols, that sort of thing. Just teaching people better, which at the heart of that is communicating better, which I'm all about. I love trying to like progress my communication skills and understand how I can talk to people who we, you know, are diametrically, oh, there we go. Let's quote Hamilton, diametrically opposed, but like still able to like pose. Yeah.
Nerd alert. Yeah.
Nerd alert. It's happening. But yeah, because I think that's so important, especially right now. Like, how can we better communicate? So I've been doing that, and it's been really great to enter an academic field that I really don't have any experience in, especially compared to my classmates. But then also to be bringing my like teaching dance background into it, and then seeing all these potentials, because there aren't, at least not to my awareness, major digital arts educational sources, right? So without like giving away my, well, I'm just going to say it. I think it would be so great to create like a digital magnet arts program that could be accessible for all sorts of kids, because like becoming friends with performers that grew up in New York City. I mean, I'm sure you have friends who are similar, like their artistic developing lives were so rich because of the proximity to certain tools and outlets. And like humans are potential. Our potential is so huge. And if we could just get people to access, like the math heads get the math and the science heads get the science. And like, what if the artists could really get the art? Like, where would we go? I think that's so exciting. So I'm interested in figuring out how to like make those things happen.
I love that so much. And it's like, it's inspiring. I'm like, yeah, what do we do? I mean, because I think about like, I want there to be, I think it's a travesty that we don't have a national theater in the United States. And I think that that's just a testament to arts at a grassroots level. And so like, if people can, all right, so you change it, you do it. And we talked about it right now, and it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Yeah, because it's about changing the worth system, right? We value art, but only to a certain extent. We don't actually want to take care of it. Our like economic structures don't want to truly. I mean, like look at the state of art right now. We don't. It's tough. But if we were to, you know, make it more of a robust system that's like, because like it employs so many people. The arts and the entertainment industry is huge, but people just don't think of it as like the proper career path, so it doesn't have this mainline educational backing that it could.
Totally. This is incredibly inspiring, and I love everything about it. So I want to jump to a couple things. I wanted to play a baby name association game. So I'm going to say a name, and I want you to just like what is the first thing that pops in your head? Okay. It can be a sentence. It doesn't have to be like, ooh, one word or whatever. Pam Steers.
Lovely. Just the like, you know, my theater mom. She's the greatest. Theater mom. Yeah. She's the
Judy
best.
Jensen.
Oh, she's the structure that holds it all up. She is like some of the fierce outlines of my internal artist.
Fierce outlines of my internal artist.
Yeah.
That is, we need to get t-shirts made for after this particular conversation, because that's about like the 10th, like just gem that has been dropped in this conversation. I'm obsessed with it. Okay. This is what I call rapid round. These are very silly. Wolverines or Spartans?
Wolverines.
Blueberries or cherries?
Blueberries.
Freshwater or saltwater?
Freshwater.
There he goes.
Yeah.
Jerome Robbins or Andy Blankenbuehler?
Oh, you're a bastard.
Those are for everybody out there. Jerome Robbins, initially West Side Story, choreographed and directed West Side Story, also on The Town, another one of Mikey's credits, and then Andy Blankenbuehler was the choreographer of Hamilton. So we're talking opposite ends of the sort of.
They're so different, Joe. I don't know. I don't know. I never got a chance to know Mr. Robbins. So I don't know. Andy is a great man, and he's a good friend of mine, and he's helped me in ways that I didn't even realize through my career. So yeah, So I don't know. I like working for Andy because he serves his artists, and he's like, I think he and I have a similar, I think he and many of his dancers have similar minds that like it just like goes, 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 goes.
Yeah.
And from what I've heard, Mr. Robbins was pretty crazy to work with, but I also imagine that being in the room with him would have been such a volatile experience, and like feeling what happens around that would have been something.
Totally.
So I don't know. I mean, it's also like athletic dancing to like style. Not that either of them don't have the other, because certainly Jerome Robbins has style. Like he created his own style. But yeah. In fact, Andy and I had a conversation about recovery after I had my surgery, or like I guess while I was recovering. He and I were emailing about it. And he told me that earlier on in his performance career, he had a really nasty ankle injury surgery. And his recovery and finding dance again reformed him as a dancer. Like so many of the dancers were all Jerome Robbins. Like since West Side's been around for so long, so many people did it. I mean, like Andy did it. They all did it. But like to go from that athletic, bounding, leaping, jumping, frenetic, young, youthful dancer to this like stylized, I mean, he's a Fosse machine too. So like, and it's all about style and editing, self-editing, and like how still can you be and be moving. And I was so grateful to hear that notion in my recovery, because it gave me something to look at, because I've been a jumper my whole life, and my Dr. Davidovich was like, you don't get to jump anymore. So I mean, I do. I still jump, but like not like I used to.
Not in the same way. Yeah. That's crazy. I just love that. And actually, I need to just jump back for 2 seconds because my mom just put in the chat, thank you, Mom, who is Pam Steers and who is Judy Jensen. Pam Steers was the head of East Grand Rapids High School Theater. She changed my life. She changed Mikey's life. She is the greatest woman. And then Judy Jensen is the founder of Care Ballet, where Mikey and I both grew up dancing. And so those were those two names for anybody out there who was like, who are those people? I'm the host. I swear to God, I know what I'm doing. All right, so we're going to show a little clip of Hamilton. Going back to Andy Blankenwheeler, we're going to show a little clip of Hamilton because that's what the people really want to see. Our faces are fine, but we're going to do a little B-roll of Hamilton just in case you haven't seen it on Disney Plus.
I'm past patiently waiting. I'm passionately smashing every expectation, every action, active creation. I'm laughing in the face of casualties and sorrow. To the first time I'm thinking past tomorrow. And I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Yo, I'm just saying, I'm not studying up here. I'm not throwing away my shot. We're gonna ride, somebody's time, take a shot. We're gonna ride, somebody's time, take a shot. We're gonna rise up, rise. Take a shot, rise up, rise up. Take a shot, rise up. It's gonna take a shot, rise up. Take a shot, shot. Take a shot, take a shot. And I am not throwing away my shot.
It's pretty sick. It's pretty sick.
Pretty good, isn't it?
Do you miss it? I mean, how could you not?
How could you not? I do miss it.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting experience, like revisiting it or not revisiting it. Once it became clear that we weren't coming, that it was shut. I didn't touch it for a while, except when I'd be like, oh, I'm going to teach a random class and they want to do Hamilton. And then it would become really emotional really fast. Like the music would come on and it's been interesting, but yeah, I do miss it. I finally, about a month ago, I think I was like processed enough of the like grief that many of us are dealing with, and was able, like I did all of Act 1 right here in my apartment and just was like, okay, I'm going to do Man 2. I'm going to see if I can get through it again. And it felt so good because the show is so well choreographed that it allows the dancers. It's like, I use the metaphor of like a Shakespearean sonnet or like a monologue, like as if for the entirety of the dancing of the show, that is a constant monologue. So there's so much expression and not just like I'm doing the steps. It's like I'm thinking the thought that moves my arm this way because I'm trying to communicate that. Well, I then have to think about this person over here and then move my isolation so I match the shape. Like there's so much to practice in that show. It's so technical that it's, yeah, okay. It's like the most, in order to have the fulfilling artistic expression that I experience in that, I have to do something that has that worthwhile of a step. And I haven't experienced many things that are so potent in their worth for my sense of expression. And I don't think I'm alone in that. Like I was talking to a friend yesterday who was relatively new to the Hamilton family before shutdown. But it's like, I mean, any good piece of theater, what we put in, it returns to the performers, certainly. But there's something about the material that's like so advanced that when it works, when all cylinders are clicking, it's just really fulfilling on like a whole nother level. Because it feels like, oh my God, my body is speaking. My body is speaking so clearly. I've never spoken so clearly in my entire life until this moment. So yeah, I miss it.
Yeah. I mean, again, is probably a horrible question, but then also coming off of the injury, because Hamilton was the first thing that you did after you had your hip surgery and you rehabbed all of it. Did that feel like the sort of culmination almost? I mean, every job is sort of the culmination of everything that's come before, but almost that, you were telling that story after you had to be basically rebuilt.
Yeah. I think to speak to that, it's like the comparison of before to then was that I feel that my entire career had been like, I'm just going to run and go towards my dreams as hard as I can. And I knew that my hip was busted the whole time, right? I was born with a hip thing. So I was constantly working at like a gradually increasing degree of stress on the body. And I was just like, go, throw all caution to the wind, make it happen. Which is great. But then like the mature performer that came out of the recovery was like, I'm not running headfirst into all adversity. I'm like consciously picking and choosing and being so super intentional. Like intention became such a huge thing for me 5 years ago, whatever. And it was, and coming back, getting back onto the stage and getting to approach the material from that point of view of like rebuilt. There's been a couple times in my life where like the phrase, like the idea of being rebuilt or reclaimed has really been resonant for me. And so then having such a tangible, like I am now rebuilt and it's not like the doctors have said, yeah, you're good. Or I walked 3 miles today. It's like, I'm dancing in Hamilton on Broadway. And yeah, it was insane. I mean, like it was also like the recovery process was, I made a lot of connections on social media with people all around the world who were also recovering in different things. And so like understanding who was bowing with me that night, or like every night since, there's just there's so much more accountability for the work now, I feel like, because I'm aware of what it was to lose it, and to have been on the side of it might not be there for me again.
Yeah. Listen, it's coming. It's coming.
Oh, it's coming. Forget about it. I mean, like Hamilton's coming back. I don't know when, but it's coming back. I'll have a job. It'll be good.
Oh my gosh.
I
love that, man. I love to hear you speak so openly about it. And what a lot of us, I mean, we all want to go back to DeVos Performance Hall. We all want we want to sit and watch you. We want to sit and we want to be a part of that. Because it is that communal experience that we're all just longing for. And I know that a Zoom webinar is not the same thing. But we're going to jump to some other stuff real quick. Another rapid round: sweet or savory? Sweet.
Oh yeah, I guess so. That's the answer.
Yeah, that's what it came out. Longboard or wakeboard?
Longboard.
Yeah. I thought, do you just water ski? I mean, you've pulled me behind a boat before.
Yeah, I think I've gotten up on a wakeboard, but I water ski. Yeah.
Got it. Longboards for life. Boyne Mountain or Grand Haven?
Boyne Mountain. Forget about it.
I said that too in the first one when Mike Lloyd interviewed me, and he was like, and I was like, yeah, man, I like the mountains. Like,
Yeah, we were just up at Crystal actually, like a week and a half ago.
Oh, amazing, amazing. And then another one that you're going to hate me for, but if you had to choose between West Side Story and A Chorus Line, which is a leading question into the next segment, just going to let you know.
Oh, West Side Story. Although A Chorus Line is like such a wonderful show.
Exactly, and that's going to lead us into a trip down memory lane of all sorts of stuff that is our life together. This is our life in pictures, Mikey, or in some capacity, just things that we found that Megan, our producer, and I found, and then we'll get to the end. But we got some, like, The Man is the Bluebird. This was when we did it. I wasn't in this. Yes, I was. This was the one that I did. Yep, there I am.
Yeah, there you are. Oh yeah, I was in college during this time, right?
Exactly. You came back. You came back to do the Bluebird, which was like one of the most difficult roles in the
doozy.
world.
It's a doozy.
Yeah. Look at him jumping. Look at the feet. Everything else. Look. Oh yeah. Okay. So there's Mikey. There's Joe. That's Saint Cecilia's.
Oh my gosh, this is great.
Just amazing. And then we got. Okay, where's Joe? Yeah. Oh, look at the good outfit. Look at the outfit, Mikey. Okay, Joe.
Look at Max Golchinski.
There's Max in the red. That's our buddy Max in the red.
Oh my gosh.
Like, and also Joe, point your foot for the love of God. I mean,
we're trying.
Like, we're trying.
You're focused on her though. You're forever the actor, man. It's all good. We're in the story, which is what's the most important.
Exactly. I
There
appreciate that. These are the things that matter.
These are definitely the things that matter. Oh God, I missed that.
Honestly, the one on the left, that's the band that we played in called Common Jack. That was probably, no offense to Max Golchinski if he's watching this, but that was probably one of the best bands I've ever played in.
Absolutely, that was the closest I've ever come to like taking off with a band. Because we'd almost did, and then we both had shows to do, and it all fell apart.
Exactly. When I say that, like, we're probably never gonna get over the fact that band, they're still doing it. They're still playing, and the lead singer John is still making a bunch of music. But we were this close to like, he's such a good. If you guys are look up Common Jack on Spotify or Apple Music. But yeah, we're just playing a little music.
We had good times.
Oh my gosh, that was really good. That was really good. Okay, so now just a little icing on this cake. We're going to show. This is something from the depths of the internet that Megan found. The closing night bow for A Chorus Line.
Ed William. Robert Dozy?
Yep.
Oh my God, look at how long my hair was.
I know, the haircut.
Stephen Gray? That mustache? That's Chris Carter.
Chris Carter.
Oh, snappy.
He was so good.
That Luke? Yeah.
Yep.
Where were you?
I was number 3. I was the third guy that came out.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're gonna fast forward. If anybody wants it, this is on YouTube. We found this. You can watch the whole thing. It is a 4.5-minute number. But we wanted to get to the end, the part that everybody wants to see.
We look good.
Yeah, don't we look good?
That's such a doozy of a sing at the end.
Yeah, just yelling at the top of your lungs as the lights come down.
What fun! Oh, those were good days.
Oh my gosh, yeah. The haircut. We'll talk. There might be something about the haircut later. But that was another one of these times that I got to sit there and watch you. I'm watching Cisco Pitter Pat, and I'll never forget. Do you remember the gala when Marvin Hamlish played?
So I actually very, very recently found a video of that.
I'm gonna need that.
Yeah,
I'm going to need that.
We'll talk in secret about it. Totally.
Okay, great. Because you're standing there. I'll never forget it. You're standing there, and Marvin Hamlish, the composer, he got like, the man is a god in the musical theater, and he comes up to you and he says, "Mikey, why did you start dancing?" And you said, "Because of my sister Sarah."
Yeah. Which is
and he sits down at the piano. I'm watching Cisco Pitter Pat. It was just, it was the coolest. And we did at the ballet, and we did a couple of things, but I'll never forget that night. That was
a really spectacular day. Oh, how cool to be able to do that. And honestly, like on a personal note, I ended up getting like a vocal injury during that show. I don't know if you remember that.
I didn't know that.
Like,
no.
Yeah. And so that is like the only recording that actually is out there of me being able to like sing the song, because I really couldn't sing the song when we did the show. And so I finally got to see it, and I was like, oh my God, I had such sort of like awesome memories and like this like trauma about having to try to do this thing in a deficit, and then like finally getting to sort of like pop that deficit out and see what it was. Like, I don't know. Cause I mean, I don't know, but I imagine you're probably this way too, because we're all perfectionists, but like, I'm hard on myself about those memories of like, or I cling to the pieces that like I perceived didn't go well, as opposed to looking at all the ways that it succeeded. It was awesome.
Right.
And so as much as I wish I could pop those deficits in ways that didn't involve me finding random footage that vindicates me.
Right.
It was nice to like be like, oh, this is soothing. This is nice.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Totally. I totally get that. I mean, that's the perfectionist. I mean, there's a perfectionist in all of us that I think is so hard because it stifles art. Like, because we want to be perfect. And it's like, actually, no, you got to be messy. People like messy, messy is cool,
Absolutely.
So the next section, this is our trivia section. This is the trivia section. These are the easiest questions that anyone has ever been asked. How many days a week would you wear black eyeliner to high school?
In high school? Never.
Really?
I don't think it ever happened in high school. I think it started in college. But then it was probably like every day. I don't think I took it off.
Just the cool. I think you had. Okay, so now and then this one. What would you call the haircut in this picture?
Flow for sure.
Flow for sure.
Yeah.
I was not to like toot my own horn. I was sort of like follically gifted laziness. I think is like, because you have, one of the things that I cut from your intro was that, and then Mikey Winslow, the best head of hair in Grand Rapids, and off, but I remember the hair so vividly. Like, you needed the headband, and then it was like
It's always a thing, and I'm always so persnickety about it. I hate how shows make me mess with my hair or whatever, because you're right. Like, there's some things that we appreciate about ourselves, and when it comes to my hair, I am as vain as Uncle Jesse. So, yeah.
All right, my friend, what is a dance belt? A traditional belt for pants worn while dancing, a technique used for singing while dancing, a conveyor belt that you can dance on, or D, a thick canvas thong that male dancers wear to keep their bits and bobs in one place.
Keep your bits and bobs in place, ladies and gentlemen. And we're
unbelievable. Right. That is another thing that my man taught me how to wear one of those. Dressing rooms shows are they're private places, and if you'd like to talk about that at another time, Mikey and I are happy to. You can drop your questions in the comments.
Okay to ask, because it's important to know the right information.
Yes, that is an excellent way to say that. If you got your male dancers out there, it is important to ask a question. So we got a couple questions. We'll do a little Q&A from the audience. Stephanie Lamos, I hope I'm saying that right. She says, Mikey, you're so inspirational. Our dance studio absolutely loved learning from you. We'd love to continue to learn from you. When it's safe to do, would you be willing to teach more dance masterclasses when you're in town again?
I would love to teach more classes, Stephanie.
I mean, don't we all want to be in a dance studio? Like, even if you don't dance,
Yeah. To just like have that space and know that this is actually what we're meant to do here. There's nothing else that's meant to happen in this room except for dancing. It's really, really pretty freeing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then we got a question from Jana. What kinds of jobs, camps, experiences did you do in the summer during college to further your education or job opportunities? That's actually a great question, because one summer I spread mulch. Like, I went to work. I worked around East Grand Rapids, like spreading mulch for people. and then I also did shows and stuff. But like, yeah, I did a couple seasons of summer stock. I worked at Mason Street Warehouse, and I worked at a theater in Colorado called Rocky Mountain Repertory Theater. And then I took a lot of class. I think that like the West Side Story masterclass that you taught, I think was over the summer.
Oh yeah, that was probably like care camp, right?
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
Care Camp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What about you? What did you do over the summers?
Over the summers and in college, mostly, well, later college, I worked at like summer stocks. Once I found out about summer stocks, I got involved with that. The first couple summers, I kind of was just a college student. I backpacked Europe one summer. And then, but after that, it was mainly like try to get a job in the theater. I will say like camp wise though, I went to Blue Lake Fine Arts Camp.
So did I. I did that one year.
Oh yeah? Did you go
Yeah.
for dance theater or singing?
I went for singing. I did Mark Webb, Mr. Webb, Dr. Webb, our choral teacher at East Grand Rapids. I did the choirs.
Totally. That's cool.
Yeah.
I bet that would be a really cool experience.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I really like Blue Lake. And I did that for like I did their international program, which was also, I will say Blue Lake was an important infusion of a male dance perspective. Because growing up at Care, Judy was the ballet mistress, whatever you want to call her. She was our ballet teacher, and that was terrific. And we got tons of good information from her. But I also needed like that male role model, which was very present at Blue Lake, because that's where I learned sort of the character to start to embody a character while dancing, not just to do steps. And from there, I think that was when my feet gained traction on the ground. I said, oh, okay, this is something I can actually understand and achieve, as opposed to like trying to force my body into ways that it's not really going to go.
100%. 100%. I love that. I love it. So now we're getting to the end. Mikey and I made a little video. And we could talk about American Idiot for a second, because for those people who don't know American Idiot, we talked about how West Side Story was a perfect show for you. Talk about American Idiot a little bit and what that meant to you, because then I want to talk about the closing night performance, because you got me a ticket for that show. And I sat in the front row of the mezzanine and had the best night in the theater of my entire life. So we can talk about that later. But what was American Idiot for you?
Oh, well, I was definitely a punk rock kid. I mean, you called it. I had blue hair when I came back and taught. So I mean, when I was at Hope College, I was wearing eyeliner and trying to look like Billy Joe Armstrong. I like idolized this man. And then there was this musical that they were doing on Broadway based on Green Day music, and Green Day was involved. And I was like, I have to do this. This is like everything. This is my two main lines in life are connecting, and I must be there. And initially when I first got to New York, I was like, freelancing with this manager, and he's like, they don't want you for that. They want like Adam Lambert and this and that, because of course, he's an incredible singer, and people didn't know what American Idiot was going to be, especially like the random old white agent man. He didn't know.
right.
But I was just I knew that it was like life or death in a way, right? I wasn't going to die if I didn't get it, but I knew that I wasn't going to be able to sit with myself ever again if I didn't do this show, because I like set myself up really hard to like, I need to succeed at this, because in my mind, I was like, if I don't actually achieve the like actual punk rock show on Broadway, then I must be a poser. That was like, that was the equation in my mind. And so, like, there was like that angry snapping dog behind me, and just like pure glory and heaven in front, and that's what I was running towards. And I mean, I was not the traditional vocalist to be in that show, because the people in that show are insane singers, and that was just not my background. But like, I had full belief that I was meant to do it, and I think that really, like, the run and persistence to get to West Side was like clear and well defined, and it made sense. Whereas this one, I that was where I carved out my like autonomy and singularity, I think, as a performer. And I was like, okay, I can disengage from the tradition that I'm a part of, like the chorus boy tradition, and I can actually break the mold. I learned that by getting this show. So all that to say, I made my American Idiot debut as Billy Joe Armstrong made his American Idiot debut. So like it was insane. I mean, my first performance I was a swing, and I covered this guy, Andrew Call. He had like the most like manic physical track in the show. And he had his ankle injury that like needed to be taken care of. And so finally, like they got me swing ready. And then Andrew went to a doctor's appointment, and they ended up doing surgery, and he was out for like 6 weeks straight. So me and this one other swing were covering that role, plus whoever else was out constantly. And so we were on a ton, but I was on my first day in Andrew's role. And the end of the show, we finished with this tune that you guys are going to hear later. And then the curtain drops, and the curtain comes back up, and everybody has guitars, as you can see in this photo. And we sing Good Riddance, Time of Your Life, that classic Green Day song. So when Billy was in the show, he would always lead the song, and he would start out by like doing some jokey thing or like play Kumbaya for a bar or something. But my first show, I'm standing down at the far end of the stage, and he's center, and like he's just standing there not doing anything. He's looking down at me. He's like pointing at me. And I was like, what is going on? I'm like so riding this crazy high. And he goes, Mikey, right? Hey, everybody, Mikey got his cherry pop tonight. And like the whole place just exploded. And like here was like my idol announcing me to his dominion, like to his fandom. I didn't know what to do. I never knew what to do because I was living on such like a ridiculously high dream. Like the first night, so I also booked that show while I was doing West Side. So like the rehearsal process was in the day, and then I would perform West Side at night. And then the second West Side closed, I finally got to go be in the theater and watch the show from backstage. So first night backstage is like Billy Joe's first night there performing. And that character is not on stage for like the first half of the show. So I'm standing there in the wing, and like the curtains rolling up and the music's hitting. And all of a sudden there's somebody singing in my ear, American Idiot, the song. And I look over, and it's him. It's Billy Joe Armstrong singing his song in my ear, like intimately. And I was like, can you stop? I can't focus, man. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? Oh my God, it was crazy. But I mean, I loved it. I'm like shaking. Like my adrenaline goes sky high when I go back into like this memory place, because it was incredible. And I don't think I ever like, I only had 4 months with the show before it closed. And so there's something that almost feels like unfinished in a way, even though like we did it, and we did it really hard into the ground, and like, it was great. But like when I listen to some of that stuff, it's just so impactful.
Yeah. I listened to it in the car today. Like when I just from top to bottom, it's such a great record. The original that Green Day made, and then the Broadway cast album. It was so wonderful. What is the song that we're going to show them? It's a mashup that you wrote. You wrote this arrangement, and you're playing it at the piano. It's so beautiful. The song is called What's Her Name? Can you explain a little bit about, what's happening in this moment?
Sure. So like Joe said, the song's called What's Her Name? And that's one of the three main characters sort of in the show. There's Johnny, who's the Jesus of Suburbia. There's What's Her Name? And then there's Saint Jimmy. And there's sort of like kind of alter egos of a singular type. But What's Her Name is the love interest that then like it doesn't work out because he chooses drugs over her. And then, spoiler alert, sorry, he ends up coming back home, and he's kind of singing this song at the end. He's already come home. His friends have welcomed him back. Like life is changed for everybody. We're affected by the stories that we go through, and then we're back in the same place, like the story of middle America and nothing happening for so many kids. And he's just reflecting on it at this, like, to me, it's like the memories are fading, the specifics are fading, but the notion, the imprint that it left upon my heart, my soul, my mind is still there. And as I view the last 12 years of my life and the career, like it's so wild to zoom in and be like, oh my gosh, I still have all these stories, and I know, and all these events are so vivid and so clear, but really in the day in, day out, it's just the impression that it left upon me that hits me. And there's a sort of like niceness about that, because life just goes on and nothing's really that heavy. Like it's okay. Like life just continues. And that's where I'm like at peace with that. But then there's also this like tragic sorrow of like, it's, it doesn't come back. And so I was, a couple of nights before we were talking, I had been playing this song on the piano. I was like, gosh, I can like not get through some of these lines without crying.
Right.
I cry all the time, everybody. If you don't cry, try it. It feels really great. I'm all here for supporting anybody being vulnerable. It's really
big criers on the show, both of us.
But I was like, and so then thinking about doing this conversation and knowing that like one of the topics that's been in my mind a lot is like for us performers, this grief that like, although it's going to come back, there is this grief that we're dealing with because something so important to us has been taken. And I was like, well, what if we just did that song? And what if I like tried to get through it? And so we started to put this together. So it's this song, What's Her Name? It's reflective and also like moving on, accepting. And then we mashed in some of Wake Me Up When September Ends because it's a great tune. I will say, shout out to Wright McCarger. He's my piano teacher over at the Piano Cottage. He and I go way back. Fountain Street Church. He was my soccer coach when I was a little kid. Like we've had like so many iterations, but he's my piano teacher and he helped me with this arrangement, which I was super, super grateful for because it turned out really cool. And I am very excited to hear the final product.
Yeah. All right. So we'll jump into it. Hope you all like it.
Thought I ran into you down on the street. Then it turned out to only be a dream. I made a point to burn all of the photographs. She went away and then I took a different path. I remember the face, but I can't recall the name. Now I wonder how what's her name has been. Summer has come and passed. The innocent can never last. Wake me up when September ends. Like my father's come to pass. 7 years has gone so fast. Wake me up when September ends. Here comes the rain again, falling from the stars. Drenched in my pain again, becoming who we are. As my memory rests, but never forgets what I lost. Wake me up when September ends. And in the darkest nights, if my memory serves me right, I'll never turn back time. Forgetting you, but not the time.
High fives!
Yeah, wherever you are.
So crazy, buddy. That was so beautiful.
Fun.
Well, thank you for putting that together. I know it was a lot of work.
Oh gosh, we both worked at it.
Yeah. Like it took me all day, but it's a long, but you want it to be good. I miss you. I wish we just could have done it in person. If we just were sitting next to each other, it would have taken 2 seconds. Exactly. Anyway, but I love you. Thank you for this. Thank you for coming on and talking with us.
And
it's
my pleasure.
We were crying and laughing and all of the things. But stay well, my friend. Thank you. I love you.
Buddy. I love you too.
Amazing.
Much love to everybody out there. Thank you for supporting theater.
Yes. So that's all the time we have this week. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us on Backstage Stories. Again, thank you for coming. On March 18th, our guest is Cynthia Cortman Westfall, my mentor from college, who is the she is an associate professor at U of M, and while she was on sabbatical, she music directed the first national tour of Come From Away. So she would be the person sitting there conducting on stage, and Come From Away is coming this fall to Broadway Grand Rapids. She conducted over 400 performances in 30 cities across the U.S. and Canada. Her Broadway credits include The Lion King. She was an original pianist, associate music director, conductor, and keyboard player for 7 years at The Lion King. A Christmas Story on Broadway. She conducted the first national tour of Christmas Story, as well as at Madison Square Garden. She also played keys on Miss Saigon. She is an unbelievable woman. She's a graduate of Western Michigan. A different conversation because it's somebody behind the piano, a music director, but somebody who I love very dearly, who is a huge advocate for arts education, which obviously Mikey and I are huge supporters and proponents of. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for supporting art, like Mikey said. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.